Mrs. Bodell back again, and we are picking up right where we left off on the previous lesson. So we're actually still on Chapter 3, Lesson 8, and this time we're on page 203. Chapter 3, Lesson 8, page 203. We only did the top half of this page on Wednesday, and so today we're going to start here and go through the bottom. We're going to start here and do the rest of these problems. I didn't want to give you too much so that you got too overwhelmed, so I wanted to start kind of in the middle of this page, and we're going to do these division problems. Doing them a little bit every day is going to help your brain more than doing it for an extra long time one day. So let's take a look. We're going to start at number 8, but before I start, I'm going to remember my order of operations that I do for division, for long division. So whether you like Dracula must suck blood daily, dad, mom, sister, brother, or the rhyme from vocabulary, which was divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down. Divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down. Whenever I do long division, especially when I'm in 5th grade or 6th grade, and I don't do it very often, I think it's important to write that down every time so that you don't forget the steps. And even as an adult, sometimes I think, okay, what do I do first? And so it's helpful to write down those steps, especially if you're going to be doing a lot of them on your paper, so you don't lose track. Okay, let's jump into number 8. It is 755 divided by 5. 755 divided by 5. So remember, I'm using this to help keep myself organized. If you don't have this paper for some reason, you can write it in your book. You just have to be really careful to keep these things lined up. You see how I'm putting like dotted lines? You need to keep your lines in order, because if you don't, you can end up with the wrong answer. So we're going to do this on here. If you don't have this, you can use your graph paper. And if you've lost this for some reason, let me know, because I can print another one at the office and they can give it to you. Okay, step 1 is divide. How many times does 5 go into 7? 5 can multiply into 7 only one time. 1 times 5, we multiply. Next step, 1 times 5 is 7. Next step is to subtract. 7 minus 5 is 2. Next step is to bring down. I'm going to bring this down to right there, and then I start my steps all over again. How many times does 5 go into 25? 25 divided by 5 is, let's see, I can skip count. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Oh, that's right. 5 times 5 is 25. So I can put my 5 up there for dividing. Now I multiply. 5 times 5 is 25. Now I subtract. 25 minus 25 is nothing. We put a 0 there. But that doesn't mean I'm done. I still have digits left, so I have to bring down. Bring down the 5. Next, I divide again. Go right back up to the top. How many times does 5 go into 5? Or 5 divided by 5 is 1. 1 times 5 is 5. I subtract. There is no remainder. There's no remainder, so this one, the answer is 151. 151. And let's go ahead and continue our pattern. No, let's change up the pattern. Let's do a smiley face right here to show that we followed along in the erasable book. If you are following along in your text, that's fine. Okay, we've got a longer number coming up. It's got 4 digits in the dividend. The dividend is the number that goes in the house. So we're going to have to do our steps 4 times. And that's okay. We're getting practice every time we do it. So we've got 8,468. Remember, I don't really have a space there, so we're just ignoring that remainder sign. Divided by 4. 8,468 divided by 4. Remember, if you're overwhelmed by how big of a number it is, we're just starting by looking at the very first digit. Can you say 8 divided by 4? Oh yeah, I know 8 divided by 4, Mrs. Bodell. That's easy. It's 2. Oh, okay, good. So let's continue on with this problem. So we're going to multiply. 2 times 4 is 8. I'm going to subtract. 8 minus 8 is 0. Now I have to bring down, so I'm going to scooch my paper over so I can see the next digit. It's a 4. I'm going to bring down this 4. Now I do it all again. I go back up to division. 4 divided by 4. How many times can 4 go into 4? Well, that's easy, just once, right? One time. 1 times 4, we multiply, is also 4. Now we subtract. 4 minus 4 is a big 0. And our next step is to bring down. So let's scooch this paper over and go to our next digit. We're going to bring this 6 straight down to make it even with the last answer we wrote. And remember, our answer, the quotient for this little mini problem, is going to go right above that 6. We're in a straight line. How many times does 4 go into 6? Well, 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. That's too big, so just a 1 fits. It only fits 1 time without going over. We multiply. 1 times 4 is 4. We subtract. 6 minus 4 is 2. Now we check if there's anything left to bring down, and there is. We've got an 8 here. So we bring it down, and we write it even with the last digit we just wrote, 28. Now I go back to the top and I do it all again. How many times does 4 go into 28? 28 divided by 4, oh, I know that fact. That's a 7. And I'm going to try and write it big so you can see that it's not an R there. 7 times 4 is 28. I subtract. 28 minus 28 is 0. There's nothing else to bring down. I don't have a remainder, so that's my answer. 2,117. 2,117. I'm going to write that carefully in that over each digit, and this time I'm going to put a star. I'm going to put a star on it, and I made it a little darker. You don't have to, but I made it a little darker so it looks different from the ones from the day before. Okay, let's do number 10 together. It's got 4 digits, so we're going to repeat 4 times. 4 digits 4 times. 2,349. 2,349 divided by, remember I say that as I write it, divided by 2. 2,349 divided by 2. So we're gonna ignore this R right there. Okay, let's start easy. How many times can 2 go into 2? Once. We multiply. 1 times 2 is 2. We subtract. 2 minus 2 is 0. That's right. Bring down. Scooch my paper over. Here's my 3. I'm going to bring it down in that spot. I go back to the beginning and I divide again. We're back to divide step. How many times does 2 go into 3? Or 3 divided by 2? And remember, it can't go over. So 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 is too big. I need it under, or 3 or under. So it's just going to fit 1 time again. Multiply. 1 times 2 is still 2. 3 minus 2 is 1. And now I bring down my next digit. I've got a 4. I'm going to do it again. How many times does 2 go into 14? Or 14 divided by 2? And remember, my answer is going to go right above the 4 because that's the one I'm working on. Let's see. 14. What is that number familiar to me for? Oh, yeah, 7. 7 times 2 is 14. And remember, if you didn't know that, you can skip count. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. 7 fingers, 14. Multiply. 7 times 2 is 14. I'm going to subtract. 14 minus 14 is 0. I have another digit. I need to bring down a 9. It's going to line up even with the number I just wrote, and I'm going to put my answer right above that 9. How many times does 2 go into 9? Let's see. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 10's too big. So 2, 4, 6, 8. 4 times. 4. I'm trying to make that look definitely like a 4. Multiply. 4 times 2 is 8. I subtract. 9 minus 8 is 1. There's nothing left to bring down, so I have a remainder of 1. 1,174, remainder 1. So I'm going to write that here. 1,174, remainder 1. And this one is going to get another happy face. We're forgetting about the check marks on this one. Okay, my friends, we're going to do a few more, and then we're going to switch it up just a little bit. In fact, what we're going to do right now is I'm going to skip these. So cross those off. You're welcome. We're not doing these ones on the bottom here. And we're not going to do the back side of the page at this point. We're not going to do this. What we are going to do is this homework page. We're going to do this homework page together. So we're now on page 205. We're now on page 205. I'm going to zoom in a little so you can see this page. 205 says to divide 630 by 5. So just like we were doing on our whiteboard sheets, we start with just the smallest digits. So we go, how many times can 5 go into 6? 6 divided by 5. Well, it only fits once. We multiply. 1 times 5 is 5. We subtract. 6 minus 5 is 1. They've got it there. Now we bring down that 3. How many times can 5 go into 13? Well, it's got the answer there for you. It's a 2, right? 2 times 5 is 10. We subtract. 13 minus 10 is 3. We bring down. It's a 0. That's okay. We still have to bring it down and hold its place. How many times does 5 go into 30? Oh, 6 times. 6 times 5 is 30. We subtract, and we have 0 left. Remember, we can check our work on every single division problem. We can re-multiply it. 6 times 5 is 30. 5 times 2 is 10. Plus 3 is 11, 12, 13. Carry my 1. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. We can check our work on every division problem to make sure that we got the right answer. Let's do these practice down below. Number 1. Let's do practice, and I'm actually going to zoom out because I've got to use our sheet. We've got 945 divided by 3. This one, you guys, is going to be shorter because it only has 3 digits. 945, oh, that doesn't look like a 5. Let's fix that. Redo. 945 divided by 3. 945 divided by 3. We're going to start with just that first digit for division. So 9 divided by 3. That's the problem we're looking at. What's 9 divided by 3? Oh, 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Now my next step is to multiply. 3 times 3. Just said it. It's 9. Now our next step is to subtract. 9 minus 9 is 0. Next step, bring down. Let's bring down this 4. And we're going to go from here. How many times does 3 go into 4? Well, it only fits one time. I can only fit 1 3 in there. 2 3s would be 6. 1 times 3, we multiply, is 3. Subtract. 4 minus 3 is 1. Bring down the next number. Last one, right? We don't have another one up here. How many times does 3 go into 15? 5 times. 5 times 3 is 15. 15 minus 15 is 0. So that is my whole answer, is 315. There is no remainder. 315 with no remainder. So we're going to write that in here. Remember, when I have this little box, I want to try my hardest to practice writing it right over. We'll zoom in there so you can maybe see I wrote right over the digits so that I can keep it nice and neat so I can get practice for that. Number two is 493 divided by 3. 493 divided by 3. Same steps over and over again. Same steps, more practice. We're going to get really good at this. We start with just that first digit, 4 divided by 3. Well, 1 times 3 is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. That's way too big, so we're going to put a 1. We can't go over. 1 times 3 is 3. Now we subtract. 4 minus 3 is 1. Now we bring down the next digit. 3 into 19, or 19 divided by 3. Well, let's think of our math facts. 5 times 3 is 15. I know that one really well. And 6 times 3 is 18. 7 times 3, let's think, that's 21. That's too big, so it's going to be a 6. We can't go over that number. 6 times 3 is 18. We did our multiplication. Now we subtract. 19 minus 18 is 1. Bring down, and this is our last digit on this one. We bring down the 3. How many times does 3 go into 13? Well, it doesn't go in evenly. It's not a factor of 13. And 13 is not a multiple of 3. But let's see. 3, 6, 9, 12. What about 5? That's 15. That's too big. So 4. 4 times 3, we multiply, is 12. Now we subtract. 13 minus 12 is 1. There's nothing left to bring down, so I have a remainder of 1. And I'm going to write that neatly here. 164, remainder 1. Let's do a happy face and a check mark. Happy face and a check mark, if you are following along with me on the whiteboard. A couple more problems. You guys hang in there. You're doing great. Let's do this number 3. 4 digits. I know they're long, but you guys got this. We have stamina to do hard math problems and to work them out. 6,315. Remember, I can just write that digit there. Divided by 5. 6,315 divided by 5. So let's not get overwhelmed by the big number. Let's take it digit by digit. And we're just going to repeat our steps. Divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down. How many times can 5 fit into 6? Well, just once. Now I multiply. 1 times 5 is 5. Now, just for sake of argument, let's see what happens here if I said I thought it was 2. 2 times 5 is 10. Wait, I can't take 10 away from 6. If your number down there is bigger than the number above, you know you've done something wrong. If your number down there is bigger than the number above, you know you've done something wrong. So it's a 1. 1 times 5 is 5. We subtract. 6 minus 5 is 1. Now we bring down a 3. How many times can 5 fit into 13? Now I'm going to show you another common error. Let's say we also still think this is 1. Let's watch what happens. I think it's 1. 1 times 5, I multiply. I go to subtract. Oh, I have to borrow here. 13 minus 5, let's see. 12, 11, 10, 9. Okay, 9. This can never, the answer to this subtraction problem can never be bigger than this number, or you know you've done something wrong. It can't be bigger than that number, or you know you've done something wrong. So let's see, that was a 9, that was bigger than my number, so we've done something wrong. I'm going to try again. Oh, that's right, I forgot about 2 times 5 being 10. Now when I subtract them, you'll see that 3, the answer, is smaller than a 5. That means I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I haven't made a mistake on that. Okay, bring down. Bring down your 1. Now it can be bigger because I brought another down to join it. How many times does 5 go into 31? 31 divided by 5. Well, 30 divided by 5 I know is 6. What's 7? 7 times 5, that's 35. Yep, too big. So we're going to put our 6 up there. 6 times 5 is 30. I subtract. 31 minus 30 is 1. Notice that that number 1 is smaller than my 5. That means I'm doing good. I haven't made a mistake. I've got small numbers there. That's awesome. Now I bring down. This is my last one. I don't have any more digits. 15 divided by 5. 15 divided by 5. That's right, it's a 3. It goes right on top. 3 times 5, multiply is 15. Subtract, 15 minus 15 is 0. There is no remainder. My answer here is 1,263. 1,263, and I'm going to write that right in my book. 1,263, and this time I'm going to give myself a star if I wrote it down on the whiteboard. We are going to do the backside, you guys. It is a little bit quicker because they're word problems, which sometimes trip us up, but some of the division in them is a little bit shorter. So we are going to take a look at the backside. You can pause it here if you need more time. Okay, this is our last page, and we've got some word problems that involve division. So let's take a look. Mr. Peters has 80, I like to circle numbers when they come in case we need them later, has 80 sheets of colored paper. 7 of his students need the paper for the project. How many sheets does each student get? So imagine you've got all this paper and you've got 7 students, and you have to, listen to this, divide up the paper, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have to divide up the 80 sheets of paper to these 7 students. So you get one, 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 repeat. Well, that would take a long time to write out, and you certainly could do it. But let's just use long division. We have 80 sheets of paper, and we need to divide it by 7. 7 groups. The divisor is how many groups. So I'm not even going to use my practice tracker on this. If you need to draw a thin line to keep that straight, you can. But we start here at this 8. How many times does 7 go into 8? Just once. Now we multiply. 1 times 7 is 7. Now I subtract. 8 minus 7 is 1. I bring down. I have 10 left. Now I go 7 into 10. How many times does 7 fit into 10? Still once. 1 times 7 is 7. Subtract. 10 minus 7 is 3. I have 11, remainder 3, but sometimes it's tricky because how many sheets does each student get? Well, each student gets 11. 11 papers. But how many sheets are left over? The remainder. So 11 papers with 3 left over. So they can't divide those ones up because it doesn't work evenly to divide those up amongst the 7 students. 11 papers with 3 left over. We're going to skip question 5. Cross it out. Skip question 5. And we're going to do question 6. We're going to do question 6 together. It says, a family of 4, that might be important, spent $104, also important, for tickets to a concert. All of the tickets were the same price. That's important in division because they're dividing up equally. What was the cost of each ticket? So we have $104 spent. We have all this money, and it went to 4 different tickets. Ticket 1, ticket 2, ticket 3, ticket 4. We're going to divide that 104 up to find out how many. So we're going to go 104 divided by 4. And this time I want you to try and stay super neat. Oh, you know what? This is tricky. They have not taught you this yet. We're getting ahead of ourselves. So I'm going to finish it. I think we do this next week. Yes, this is our next lesson. So they've kind of made a mistake sending this one ahead, but I'll show you. And in fact, I will use the practice tracker to show you. 104 divided by 4. Now, the reason I said it's tricky and that they haven't shown you this yet is because, remember I told you to start with each digit. So how many times does 4 fit into 1? Well, it actually doesn't, right? If I have just 1 4, it's going to be 4. We're like 3 bigger than that number. So how many times does it fit? It actually fits 0 times. 0. And you can go through the steps here. 0 times 4 is 0. Subtract. 1 minus 0 is 1. And bring down. Now we've got how many times does 4 go into 10? Well, that it fits in, and it's 2 times. 2 times 4 is 8. I subtract. 10 minus 8 is 2. I bring down the 4. How many times does 4 go into 24? Yep, 6 times. 6 times 4 is 24. Subtract. 24 minus 24 is 0. There's nothing left to bring down, so my remainder is 0. There's nothing left over. Now, 0.26 is the same thing as 26, right? 0.26 is equal to 26. So they didn't spend $0.26 on each person. They spent $26 on each person. $26 on each person. Now, remember there's other strategies if you didn't know how to place that 0, which we're going to learn in a different lesson. But remember, just like multiplication, you can use the distributive property. So you can do 26 would be 20 plus 6 and do 4 times that. 4 times 20 plus 6. So we do 4 times 20 to get 80. And 4 times 6 to get 24, and then I'd add them together to get 104. You can also do that with division. So we can divide that 100 up into 2 pieces. So I can say 100 divided by 4 and 4 divided by 4. So, and we'd add them together. So 100 divided by 4, that's easy when I think about quarters. There's 4 quarters in every dollar. 25, 50, 75, 100. So that's 25. And 4 divided by 4 is 1. So 25 plus 6 plus 1 equals 26. So we get the same answer. So you can break it up into smaller pieces if you wanted to. Great work, my friends, today. Keep up this practice. It's going to get easier. I promise. You guys are all doing a great job.